comes into these schools. He ain't coming from us, Spelman, Rockefeller money, and Morehouse was Merrill Lynch money and all that. I don't know where it's coming from now. Not much coming from anywhere except from students. Right. But in any event, you got to stand. You got to stand on your principles at some point. At one point I was when I was sharing the movement, was visiting all kind of stuff. I was taking Shakespeare from Dr. Barchdale, who I had other classes from. He made A's in his class and all that. But I was kind of slipping a little bit in the class. So he gave me, as a midterm grade, an F+. To get my attention, because my grades were slipping down to B- and all that. We both laughed about it and I tightened up my game. But they can't just publicly go out there with you and do what you know needs to be done. But if you got enough organization among yourselves, the students have, and something I suggested to students years ago, I don't think you ever did, you have something called student activity fees. And y'all don't know what happens to those student activity fees, you don't decide. You can get a few dollars out of all those student activity fees and put a fund together somewhere. And you could have $100,000 a year or more to do some of whatever you need to do. It's your money, all right? Just like that money we take out of department stores is your money. That's your money too.
My question is a little more, because I understand the institutional part, but my question is more on like the community level. So how can us, as in folks who are not involved in like actual organizing work, be supportive of organizing work from afar?
Can I speak to that a little bit? Because one of the things just in doing the research, but they did have communications. There was a newsletter that they did that was the Student Movement and You. And one of the things that you're seeing is you're communicating in social media, but people my age don't communicate in social media. So we're not getting your message. So how can you make sure your message, and even to the broader community, because your social media is going to your group. So you've got to get your message out so people understand really what you're doing, because all they're doing is seeing the action that you took, but they don't know what's behind that. And so when I was doing the research on this and looking at the documentation that we have about it and seeing how they were trying to get the word out, making sure that people knew. So then you probably, it would be good probably to have some meetings where you bring people in and talk about what you're doing, go to different groups and talk about what you're doing, not just the people who are going to organize, but the people you want to get support from. I noticed in what they were doing, they went to the churches a lot because that was the community that you could reach. And so, and they were very much in the church. And so, they reached out. But I know that there is a big disconnect between what you're doing when you're organizing and what's all behind that. All we do is see the action. You block the street. We don't know what happened. And the news media is not telling us what's happening. So it's how do you get that word out so people know, really what you're doing. And even though you say, oh, it's on Facebook, well, I'm not on Facebook. So.
But when you're talking about getting the message out, you got to have a message to get out. And you need to have a plan of action that you're asking people to help with.
It's hard for folk to follow you when they don't know where you're going. But you can't decide while you're out in the middle of the street, just having a big protest. Let's see what we're going to do next. There's got to be, it has to be a goal-oriented kind of a movement so people understand what you're trying to do and how they can help. You have to tell folk how to help, and once you're doing that, you're going to find support from a lot of different places. Again, the kind of support that's not threatening to the people involved, where they don't have to go out there and put themselves at risk. Tell them what they can do to help your cause. But what is your cause? What are you trying to achieve? You mentioned the churches, and that's one of my pet peeves. All these black churches in town probably put tens of millions of dollars in white banks on Monday morning. That's a good place to start. You tell these folk, look, you need to put your money in banks that you can tell, we will put our money here if you're going to finance housing for our people and businesses for the people in our community. Go up and down the streets here, Joseph E. Boone and all these other streets, everything's falling apart. Why is that people can't get money from the banks where all our money is going? You know, you can help put a stop to that. So you can organize around that. You know, and the AMEs are a very hierarchical kind of a structure. There's like 500 and some of those churches in the state, at least. And they got a bishop, and they do what the bishop says. You know, you can go to these people and say, hey, you know, this is what we ought to think about doing. And maybe they just hadn't thought of it. I don't know. You can be the leaders. You know, old folk will follow you if you're going somewhere, if you got a plan and ways that they can be of help.
And also, too, a lot of people are scared, you know, and a lot of people that you want to go to, somebody else got to them before you. But I would say you really want to define the issues, you know, realize, you know, like what are the resources? Because if you have the resources available to you that you don't understand, you might as well not have any resources. So you want to understand, like if you go to a school, you live in a town, you live in a city, you want to understand, you know, how to engage the structure. Like if you got police killing people, there's no reason you should be doing a protest inside a diner. You know, that's counterproductive. You kind of, you know, digressing from the issue, and the person owning the diner probably can't really affect any real change dealing with the police. You want to go somewhere like the mayor's office, or you want to go to like the police lobby, which, you know, I'm just kind of giving an example here. Like, you know, I don't know, bet you're not gonna get much done going to a police lobby, but you want to learn how to engage political structures. So when I was here at Clark, you know, working in SGA, I realized that, you know, student government has more power than people think it does. It's not just, you know, put it on Google SGA Blazer. You really have some pull in some of these meetings, and in some of the meetings you actually have a vote, and you can kind of handle the outcome of things, and your opinion is going to be, you know, taken in and applied to certain situations. So say for example, if a speaker like Hillary Clinton is coming to the school, you want to be sure that, was there like a Q&A session at that event? And a lot of times, you know, speakers will come in here and there won't be a Q&A session. But I think on a college campus, you're in an intellectual center. You want to be able to put that person on the spot. And you also want to make sure that you record it and you put their answers on social media so people can know, you know, how this person is thinking, how this person is going to engage certain issues. So those are just kind of small things you can do. I know Barney Sanders will be at Morehouse, I think on the 16th. And, you know, you want to go talk to Morehouse and SGA, you want to go talk to Will and make sure that there's going to be a Q&A session and there's going to be adequate time to ask some serious questions.
I think so. I think my question, maybe I didn't articulate it clear enough, but I think, or what I am asking is more of what can we do as people who are not what can organizers do to get us involved, but what can we as people who are not involved do to get more involved and be supported from a satellite place? Like not necessarily give organizers tips on how to be organizers, but what can we as people who are not organizers do to support them in ways that would take the load off of them? That's more what I was asking.
You want to know how you support these routes? Is that what you're saying?
Well, not necessarily me individually, but I'm asking it more of an abstract. How do we take these conversations and put them into, you know, action in terms of like supporting the movement of things that are going on in different ways, like how your niche is photography. How do we find our role in the movement that's not organizing without asking organizers how to do it? Is that clear?
Well, I'm not going to try to answer that further because I think the current leaders, activists here in the AU Center need to be telling you how you can work with them, how you can best work with them. But let me mention a couple of things. You're talking about the newspaper. You got, what, 3 black newspapers in town? Any one of them, all 3 of them, will allow you to have a column in that newspaper. You know, because they want free copy and they want free pictures. All right? And if you got a picture with your copy, they will publish it. And if it's a good picture, they put it on the front page, above the fold. All you got to do is contact them, you know, and offer your, you know, scholarship, your movement ideas or whatever to them, and all of them will accept that offer. I'm telling you, okay? I used to be an editor. We were looking for something to fill the paper, you know, at the time, and we wanted something that was meaningful. So you can provide that. Again, you need to help strengthen at least one of these newspapers in town so that the power has to listen to them, okay? Now, again, the Enquirer was very, very powerful for a while. We had police brutality situations that took place. We got the policemen fired. You know, we had that kind of a pressure and that kind of credibility in the community because of the movement that we had. Because we made Richard's department store lose $10 million over Christmas holiday. You know, so folk will listen to us. All right, you need an organ in this town that you can speak through, that folk are bound to listen to. It's because of what you're saying, because of who you're representing, you know, and who you're reaching. But at some point, you got to make the move of taking some money out of somebody's pocket. That's the only thing that's going to really matter in the end.
I think we're going to have to bring it to a close. So you can. I mean, I'm just saying. Let's.
Maybe everybody wants to say one little something.
No, I don't.
Really,